Hello, everybody. Welcome to the third Thursday live on the fourth Thursday because last Thursday I was sick. Still have a little bit of residual of that um, congestion because there's some kind of really nasty virus going around. I don't know what that's all about. So, yeah, as you come on, just make sure that you can hear me. So if you want to throw in a comment and let me know that, um, using a different streaming service here, so I want to make sure that I can see everybody's comments as they come in, um, and making sure that things are actually going along. So these lives are so important to me. I want to make sure that my commitment to radical transparency is out there. And while we publish everything online with the city, it's not physically possible for everybody always to come in and meet with me. And so these platforms are important because they give you an opportunity to connect with me, um, and ask your questions. And so that's why we do this, is so that you have a chance to let me know what's on your mind, and I can answer, or I can take a note down if it's something I need to follow up on, and we can do that. So as you come on here, and if you have a question or a comment, just throw it on there and I'll be watching, and I like to address them as they come through. I don't always go back on and recheck after. So if you watch it after the live is over and you comment, I might not follow up. I try to, but there's a lot of social media to watch, and so I might miss it. We haven't chatted live ever since the massive snowstorm came through. So yeah, that was a challenging week. Um, it's still challenging. The snow and ice is still out there. I actually finally just dug the Mustang out. My poor little Mustang has been in the snow at the end of the driveway. I counted for 18 days. I have missed driving my car. And so this afternoon I came home and finally was able to get it backed up the slight little hill. So I'll be able to drive it tomorrow. And I'm so excited because I've missed driving it. So um yeah, that snowstorm was no joke. Hello, Carrie. Thanks for logging on. I'm assuming that the audio is coming through okay. So if it's not, just let me know. I try to stream across two platforms, both my YouTube channel and my Facebook channel, and so I try to watch the comments and stuff. And I use a microphone because my husband's downstairs and he has the news on, and it's really loud. And so I film up here. I connect with you up here in my upstairs room where nobody ever is, except occasional cat that sneaks up here. So yeah, I just want to make sure you can hear and all that. So feel free to comment, and like make sure that I know that everything's coming through. Um, the snow was definitely a challenge, and I just want to say a thank you. I want to start off this live by saying thank you. And there's so many thank yous to give. Thank you to all of you for your patience, because this was a record snowfall event for us. I think the final projections showed that we received about 10 inches. And for a first significant snowfall for the year, to receive 10 inches was challenging, to say the least. We had several new snowplow drivers, and the only way to really train someone on a snowplow is to put them in the snow and let them plow. And normally we're able to do that with, 4 inches of snow. The quick pace of this snowfall, and they get 10 inches, and then the ice mixed in with it, made it extremely challenging for not only our veteran plow drivers but also these folks who were new, who had not done that before. So it was really challenging. So my first thank you is to you for your patience, because we were dealing with a lot of snow. The second thank you, of course, is to all of our city staff who stepped in and pitched in, because those are some long days, y'all. They work 12-hour shifts when we have these snowplow emergencies, and that is it's a long day in a snowplow, a long time in a snowplow. So thank you to our staff for stepping in and taking that overtime and getting those roads clear and working for us. And then also, I want to make sure that I thank our volunteer network. Because of the freezing temperatures that happened immediately after that snow, and knowing that for the rest of the week people would be trapped in their homes, we were really concerned about the elderly and the medically fragile and people who needed to get out. Excuse me. Still fighting this infection, or I guess it's past infection. It's just this residual cough. Um, so we activated our Charlestown Cares network, and we had a whole troop of volunteers, from people who had companies to children, teenagers, parents who just wanted to get their kids out, or people who volunteered. And at our council meeting last Tuesday night, the 14th, we acknowledged all of those people by name. So if you volunteered for us, we read your name out or your company out. And then we also had all the young people, the youth who had done it. We had them come in for something special. We had them come in and we gave them a certificate of appreciation and a challenge coin, because it really meant a lot that we had so many young people step up to volunteer as well. So thank you for everybody for helping us get through that snowstorm. Leah, bring on the dog. The dogs aren't allowed up here. I'm upstairs, and the stairs freak the dogs out. They won't come up the stairs. Finn got enough attention today. If you go look at the city's Facebook page, we posted some pictures of some of our donors for the short street for the parklet that we're doing. And yeah, Finn got enough attention because he wanted to be in every picture. He's such a ham. And in one of them, he even like put his little paw over the sign we were holding. He's a ham. So he's had enough camera time today. Trust me. Speaking of the parklet, I want to say thank you again, because we've reached our fundraising goal to get our match. So we had to raise $50,000 for that project in order to receive $50,000 in a match. And thanks to you and many of these companies and individuals who have stepped up to donate, we did that. We actually exceeded it. So we'll be able to get that $50,000 match and have just over $102,000 to start that project. And it's estimated to cost us totally about 250,000. And our media director Brian Smith has a couple of other grants he's waiting on. We're waiting to hear on one that's an additional 50,000, and then waiting to hear one on a $25,000 match. So whatever the gap in funding is, we're going to ask our redevelopment commission to fill that gap. So we are going to move forward with that project this year, but I think it's going to end up being a fantastic spot for community gathering and events. Hope it'll become a special spot for you. The square is already such a pivotal part of everything we do in Charlestown, and I think this parklet's really just going to take it up a notch. Also on Short Street, you're going to start to see some pretty big things. So if you haven't checked out my blog on my website, so I have a website, just mayortreva.com, and I keep a blog there. I'm not as prolific writing the blog as maybe I should be, because I try to have other ways to connect with you. But when something big is happening, I do try to go on and update it. And so I just updated it recently with the full renderings of the concept for what we want to do on the square to make it just an absolutely revitalized space for our festivals, events, and community gathering. And I hope that we will kick off that first phase of that later this year. So right now we are getting ready to see the demolition of the building, the old green top building. And depending on how old you are, you call it different things. So some of you call it Obie's Pool Hall, and some of you call it the old YMCA, but it's the green top building right there at the back of Short Street. And the demolition of that building will start any day, and it will come down. We're going to build this amazing event lawn with a permanent stage and outdoor bathrooms, and also like a traditional two-story downtown looking building that we hope will be able to attract a restaurant for patio dining during our music events and things. So if you haven't checked that out, you can see the full rendering of it by going to my blog. It's just mayortreva.com. And then if you click on news from that website, you can see the blog post. So please go there and do that. Let me see, I had a comment here. Tina, pedestrian crosswalk from JC crossing 403 to Cardinal Drive. Also at that light, there can be an arrow painted to go straight across. There's only right hand. So we actually don't control that. I will put in a request with the county on that, but since it is County Road 403, we don't have control over that light. The city doesn't have any way to adjust that light or put up a turn signal or the right to paint crosswalks or anything like that. But that is a very good point because we are starting to see a lot more pedestrian traffic through that area. And so we want to make sure. Now, it was part of the reason that we put sidewalks on Denham Lane a couple years ago because we knew there were a lot of pedestrians starting to move through that area. But Tina, thank you for the suggestion. I'm going to make a note. Signal 4-3. And I will email Brian Dixon at the county tomorrow and let him know. We did do a corridor study on 403 and all our main roads that come into the city last year. And we shared that corridor study with the county officers, with the county commissioners, because it had some pretty big recommendations. And that light was one of the things, and that intersection was one of the things that they did address as well. So it had recommendations for a traffic improvement at Bethany Road, which thankfully the county has recently announced that they are actually going to go ahead and do a traffic study themselves of that intersection. So they've kicked that off. That's going to happen. That's great. It also had recommendations for improvements at where Danbury Oaks intersects with 403, where Lakeview Highview intersects with 403, and then that little cluster there on 403 where you've got from Highway 3 to Cardinal right there in front of JC, where you've got 160 in the middle, and that whole little area that the traffic is really getting kind of scary and sketchy through there. So we shared that corridor study with the county, and the county is starting to kind of chip away at that. So I'll make sure that I send this recommendation to him as well. So Carrie, I'm really excited about what's to come too. I think that our city is such a fantastic place. We have that wonderful small town vibe. People are so friendly. We know each other. But I think there's room for a little bit of growth and excitement within reason. You know, we want to keep our we want to keep all the things we love about Charlestown, and we don't want to see that go away. Speaking of things we love about Charlestown, I'm wearing my Charlestown shirt, Charlestown Pirates sweatshirt tonight. One of my favorite sweatshirts to lounge around the house in. And I'm wearing it because I want to draw your attention to the big day in Charlestown basketball that's happening on Saturday. So Charlestown basketball has been celebrating 50 years of women's basketball all season long. And Saturday is not only homecoming that night, but they're also having a special celebration in between the JV women and the varsity women's games. I think the JV kickoff at or tip off at noon. And if I'm wrong, someone can correct me. But WPMQ had it posted. If you don't follow the WPMQ page for the Charlestown High School, you should. They post a lot of really cool stuff, and it's a student group, so you should do that. But I think the JV tips off at noon, and then in between that and the varsity game, they're going to have a very special celebration of that 50 years and acknowledge everybody that was pivotal in that. So that's really exciting. Um, and then you come back later that evening and watch the boys' games and watch the homecoming court in between the JV and the varsity for the boys there. Other things that are happening this weekend in the area, if you are a big 4-H supporter, which you should be because 4-H is awesome. And we have a lot of youth in our community that support 4-H or that participate in 4-H. And this weekend, they're doing a big water fundraiser. They're trying to get as much bottled water as they can to donate to a food pantry. And they're having a Waffles for Water event Saturday morning at the food stand at the 4-H fairgrounds. And for the price of a big bunch of water bottles, just get a case of water, you can have waffles for breakfast. So take your kids and grandkids and loved ones or just yourself and go eat waffles, grab some water and go out and eat waffles and help them reach their goal of collecting a bunch of water for the food pantry. What else is on my notes? People aren't really asking a lot of questions. If you've got questions, it's a great time to ask them. If you want to know what's going on around town, um, this is the time to find out. Council meeting last time we met was pretty long. We did a lot. We, of course, acknowledged all of our volunteers who helped. We also went into detail about the idea about renovating the Charlestown Little League fields. This is something that has needed to be done for a long time. And it's very expensive. I mean, let's not kid ourselves. If we really want to do it right and redo all the fields and build a nice new concession stand and have a playground, we talked about putting a walking path, paved walking path all the way around the facility because a lot of people in the community like to walk. And then also having enough parking, and then even squeaking in a few pickleball courts. So it's a multi-use facility. It's over $6 million. It's like $6.8 million to do all that. And fact is, we just don't have that kind of money in our budget. We are not that big of a city. Um, our our annual levy, like our tax levy, is only a little over four. So yeah, how do we fund that? Well, we have to go into debt if we're going to fund something that large. And that means that we have to be able to secure that debt and back that debt. And that means a tax levy. And none of us, none of us want to raise taxes. So we're caught in that weird growth phase where we have all this housing coming in. We've got multifamily units that we need because of the jobs that are coming to River Ridge, and the opportunity. And it's good because it brings that density to downtown that's going to help revive our downtown businesses. In order for shops to come in order for restaurants to thrive, they have to have a population, but they also need a daytime population. It's not just enough to have people that are coming home at night to sleep in Charlestown. They've got to have a daytime population. And there's some critical things that are happening along the way that can make that happen. So one of those things is LifeSpring opening up on the square. LifeSpring opening up and having a full medical clinic there brings people into town for the day, to come to the doctor. The other thing that does that are daytime jobs. Instead of people leaving Charlestown to go to work in other places and then just coming home at night, having those jobs here is critical for those kinds of restaurants and things that we want to see. It's not just enough to have apartments. It's not just enough to have places that are open in the evenings when people come home, because a lot of times people grab stuff on their way home. So getting those jobs in here is critical. We're doing that. Shadow Lake is bringing jobs. Shadow Lake Business Park is bringing jobs. Of course, they had about 200 relocate when Dan Christiani Excavating and Gotta Go Dumpsters Inc. came in. It's about 200 relocated jobs, so that's a step in the right direction. U.S. Capitol is building 2 buildings on their industrial parkland. They will, of course, put tenants in those buildings, and those will be daytime jobs. River Ridge is doing its part. So Denton Floyd built a building, and now CTDI is in that building, and they're hiring, I think first phase is like 400 employees right now. So that's 400 people that are here during the day that need places to eat, places to shop. The Census Bureau has been announced. So the Census Bureau will be coming, and they hope to be operational by mid to late 2026. So that's going to be 600-ish jobs that will be here during the day. And then, of course, Cheesecake Factory. And Cheesecake Factory is still finalizing their design plans, but they've planned to break ground this year on that, and they'll be hiring about 200 people right away. So the construction jobs that are here right now building these things, that's one daytime population. And then when they're the things that they're building, when those are actually operational and they've hired their staff, those will be daytime jobs. And it all goes into that economic formula to attracting the things that you want to see. Because I see it regularly on Facebook. I see you saying things like, man, I'd love to have another grocery store. How about an Aldi's? Or, gosh, I would love to have a Chick-fil-A here. Um, people throw out stuff all the time. Oh, man, a Logan's would be phenomenal. I agree. I absolutely agree. But those things require certain formulas, and the people who run and own them are not going to go into the millions of dollars in expense to open those up if they don't have the staff to work them and don't have the clientele to patronize them. And it's not just enough to depend on the people to come there for dinner. They've got to have more than that. So we are getting there, but we also want to make sure we're doing it in a measured way, because as all this comes in, it also increases the number of people who are traveling through the city. And it's my number one goal to make sure that we are building the infrastructure in place to handle this growth as it comes, so that we don't end up in a situation where you can't get anywhere because it's too crowded. Okay. So that's why we're investing in these corridor studies. That's why we're talking to the state, we're talking to the county, and trying to make sure that they are improving 403 and 62 and Highway 3, the ones that they own, and why we're building a new wastewater plant, and while we're looking into drainage issues and all of these types of things, broadband, exploring fiber and faster internet service. All those kinds of things are so critical as well to making sure that as these others trickle in, so you're going to see them trickle in, right? And we've seen several new business openings since I've been mayor. My goodness, I don't think I could sit and list them all if I even tried. I mean, just off the top of my head, um, We had Core Physical Therapy, had Care First Physical Therapy, you had Original Pure Water, you had Charlestown Coffee and Cream. You've got just recently Faro Foot and Ankle, Verizon Wireless has a new store. Jersey Mike's opened up because Subway moved and Papa John's moved, and so their old building is open. Dollar General moved and now their building is open. And I saw an advertisement, legal advertisement in the newspaper that Goodwill had advertised for that property. So I don't know where they are in the process, but there was a legal advertisement that hit the news publications a week or two ago that said that Goodwill Industries, so a Goodwill store, is looking at activity. They were applying for a grant and they listed that property, the old Dollar General property. So it looks like they're looking at it for a Goodwill. Um, so you're going to start to see these kinds of things trickle in, and you're going to see those types of things, LifeSpring opening up, and there's a home improvement place that opened up services on the square. Smiley's, I think that's what it's called, home improvement. The shirt lady, she went from being only online to having her brick and mortar, and now she's already outgrown her first space, and now she's moving to the city square. So, you're going to see these types of local owned places and things kind of evolving and growing. And I know that I'm forgetting some, because I know we've had more ribbon cuttings than that. I'm sorry if I'm forgetting your business. It's just there's a lot to remember. And you're going to see these types of things coming in. They keep trickling in my head. Ace Hardware opened in the time since I've been mayor, and Orsolin's closed, but Baumgart's opened and renovated, and I love going in there. Those people are so nice. So you're going to start to see some of these things trickle in, but it's going to take a while before we get anything big like some of the stuff you're naming, like Aldi's or those larger things. People are interested. They're looking at Charlestown, and a large part of that is you. It's a credit to you because people look at when they Google our community or they look at our community. My goal is to make sure that when they look at Charlestown, they see a place that is welcoming and thriving, and a place that cares about its citizens and its residents, where government is open, where we're doing innovative things, where we have community collaboration, where a lot of the things we're doing is with your feedback and your involvement and your suggestions. And I just can't imagine that people wouldn't want to be there. They wouldn't want their business to be there. And so it's a credit, it's a testament to you. It's a testament to our community at large. So thank you for that. Do you know what that might be on the old sweet shop? The old sweet shop is going to be residential. So it recently went through the planning and zoning process, and um, it was rezoned for residential. So they're building just single family homes there where the sweet shop used to be. That's what's going in there. Of course, our new school is still under construction up on the hill, and our building inspector just went today and did an inspection, and they're really moving along quite well. They think they're going to be able to, turn over the keys sometime in the late summer, early summer. So the students should be able to start school, and then of course they'll have to do the demolition of the old school, but that's moving along really well. The library seems to be moving along, so that's pretty cool. I know you said they're starting a demo in the next coming days. What's the projected time frame for completion opening the new square project? So it'll be done in phases, Adam. I actually just talked to some strategy teams for that. So what you're going to see is in February at the redevelopment commission, I'm going to ask them to go ahead and put out the request for proposals for a build operate transfer agreement to get some developers in to start looking at that, to take what was a concept and begin to start looking at how to move it through those stages. We're going to start with phase one, which is the commons. So if you look at all those documents, you'll see it's broken down into stages. And the commons is the one we're going to start with first. And that includes the event lawn and the permanent stage, that area, because we have to roll in that stage every time we have a festival and event. And we feel like getting the event lawn and the stage in first would be a nice first step. If we have a developer who's super interested and wants to make an investment and is ready to invest in the second stage pretty quickly, which would be the building, would go in between the event lawn and where the post office is, where we might be able to put a restaurant or other kinds of commercial, you know, it's going to be, we hope it's be 2-story would be our vision. So possibly stuff above and the restaurant below. Then great. We're going to put this out and see what people have to say about it. There's already been some interest. I had WDRB contacted me earlier today We did a Zoom on the project, so I feel like once that begins to hit out on the news media, we'll get additional attention on that. So it just depends on when we can get the funding available and how we can fund it. Because again, we're trying to do this growth without doing any. We're trying to do it within our current tax base with our current resources. We don't want to increase taxes to make these things happen. That's not what we're going to do. So we work through these stages where we have these concepts, and then we're like, okay, let's chip away at those concepts and figure out which phases we can start on and move it through. It also gives us plenty of time to receive feedback from the public too. So you guys have been fantastic. Just in the time I put that out on the blog and shared it, I've gotten so many good pieces of feedback that we can work into the design as it does go forward. But I would expect that you would see um, formal design on phase one start to happen before the end of the year of this year of 2025, and hopefully some construction on phase one starting in 2026, depending on what our TIF revenues look like to make that happen. Laura, I think you asked something, and I don't know if I missed a comment in there. I see she said next to coffee and cream. I don't know if she was asking a question or what, because I'm trying to watch these comments, but sometimes I might miss something. So um, let me know if I miss something with a comment. So hopefully, Adam, that answers your question on that. I hate to be, I feel like that's vague, like that it all depends, but it kind of all depends. It's sort of like what we're doing with Shadow Lake Park. When Shadow Lake Business Park announced and we got the donation of the 70 acres, we we immediately went into a concept design of, hey, we know we want to build a civic center out there one day. We know we want to have athletic courts out there. What does that look like? Where could that go? So we did the concept, and then we got the overall budget. And overall, all three phases of that for the first half of that property would be over $25 million. We're not sitting on a nest egg of $25 million. So we have to start working at it in stages. And we also have to let the tax base within Shuttle Lake Business Park grow. And right now, they only have one completed building, the Dan Christiani Legacy Complex. So as U.S. Capital brings their buildings online and that revenue starts to come in from those taxes, that's where we can start to do stuff. So for Shadow Lake Park, where I originally hoped to see something under construction in phase one, design last year and into this year, the revenue's just not there yet. So we have to kind of back up a little bit and say the concept's still there. What can we do? And I've told the team that I really would like to see them run the numbers and take action on that first phase, potentially move it into design late this year, maybe start doing construction next year. Um, but we have to balance that with our existing facilities too. And that's where the Little League comes in, right? Like we want to make sure that the existing space is renovated, maintained. We can't always just build new. We have to balance those things out. So it's really kind of I've seen those teachers that say they're chaos coordinators. That's what I feel like. It's like there's an ebb and flow, there's a retraction and an expansion over and over, where we get these ideas, we get your feedback, we move forward, and then we just try to keep it realistic because we're not trying to break the bank, we're not trying to break your pocketbook, and we want to make sure that we're giving you some things that make the community really awesome too. So hopefully that answers your question. Let's see. Samantha, love and appreciate. Okay. Oh, that's very kind of you. Thank you for saying that. Um, I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Um, Definitely, I love my job. I love my job. I don't know what to tell you. This is by far the most exciting thing I've ever done. And I love when I type it sometimes in my post that I love serving as your mayor, I 100% mean it. Charlestown is amazing, and it's a joy and an honor to get to be in this position and work with you on a daily basis. So thank you for letting me do this, for hiring me again to do this for a second term. It's the second year of the second term, and I feel like we've got a good momentum and trajectory. Um, the whole city's working well for you. And they all care about you, from the council to the redevelopment commission and board of works and planning and zoning and sewer board and advisory plan commission, disability advisory, like all of the groups that help make decisions in the city. It's full of phenomenal people. We are a fortunate community indeed. Um, those are all the notes that I wrote for myself of the big topics to share with you. And I don't like to stay on here too long because, you know, there's no reason to stay on here that long. Um, I'm hoping that I've answered things. Like I said, this is a different streaming platform for me because I'm trying to stream both on my YouTube channel and the on my Facebook page at the same time. And so if I've missed anybody's comments, what I'll do is I will go back through those and um, try to find those so that I can make sure that if I've missed any comments, I'll just type an answer or something. But um, so I appreciate you all, and I'm always available. And you can reach me by, if you have city business to discuss, like official city business, mayor at cityofcharlestown.com. I try to keep a separation between campaign-based activities and city-based activities. So if you want to contact me about personal things or campaign-related things, it's just Treva at mayortreva.com. Keep that nice separation between those two things. And of course, you can always reach out to my cell. I take texts or phone calls. It's 502-297-4390. Or you can just send me a message on Facebook if you're watching on Facebook. I appreciate all of you more than you possibly realize I do. And I'm going to go eat some leftovers for supper because I'm getting kind of hungry. Quick preview though, before we do that, of what's to come. Next week, we don't have any public meetings. It's the last week of the month. Thank goodness, because I don't know about you, but January feels like it just takes forever to get through. We do have some events coming up in February. We don't do a lot of events in January just because, frankly, the staff is exhausted from Christmas events. Um, we spend January kind of huddled up in our offices, hoping, praying for no snow and scheduling the events for the rest of the year. The parks team has been busy at work getting things ready. We have Valentine's gift bags that will go out on the gazebo on the square for Valentine's Day, first come, first serve, just to share our love with you. And we have a health fair coming up on February 17th at the Arts and Enrichment Center, where we'll have a ton of vendors that are there to give you health screenings and information. So you can come check that out. We don't have any public meetings next week. Those will all be the first week of February. So you can find out about all of our public meetings at the city's website, cityofcharlestown.com. There's an agenda center and you can click on it, read all of our agendas, all the documents that are going to be reviewed, and you can come onto the city's Facebook page and watch those meetings live if you can't make it in person. Thanks for joining me, for those that joined me live. Cheers to those who might watch later. And you know how to find me. I will see you at the next third Thursday live. Hopefully, we'll be able to have it on the actual third Thursday because I won't get sick and lose my voice. So, thank you for being here for this third Thursday, fourth Thursday edition this time. And I will see